you work real hard to make your dream come true. Save up every penny, it's all you wanna do. To wake up one day, have it all taken away. Lord sent a little rain our way. He told her it would all be okay. They build it back together. It will be better anyway. At the end of the day, all he could say, Lord sent a little rain our way.
That was Rain Our Way by Katie, Beth, and Mihm. I'm so excited. That was such a beautiful song, and I already know the story behind it, but we're going to let you tell all of our listeners the story behind this song. As beautiful as it is, it's actually a pretty tragic story. What inspired you to write this song, Katie, Beth?
Hey, thanks for having me. So whenever we had the wildfires here recently here in Texas, that were all over the world news. I mean, they were huge. It was right here where I live is where they started. And me and my husband and our kids have a ranch between Borger and Fritch, Texas. And the fire came through here, and we particularly weren't really given an evacuation notice. So the fire was actually in the back pasture, and we could see the flames off of it and everything. And by the time my husband got home from work, and so we literally had like 10 minutes or less to get, as many animals we could, our kids, everybody, loaded up and on the road to get to town to evacuate. They had evacuated people in towns around us, but the first responders were spread so thin that they just couldn't get, to everybody in the rural areas that lived in the country to tell them. So, but thankfully we got out. We wound up losing our pastures and fences and things, but luckily our horses survived and our home survived. And I also hate that because, there's so many people around us that lost their homes. And so my heart goes out to them and prayers out to their families for that. But whenever we had to stay evacuated for a couple days, and when we could come back to the ranch, whenever we got back here, me and my husband were just looking at everything. Everything was just smoking still, and everything was just gone. And me and him decided to get some water hoses, and we were sitting there spraying everything down that was smoking as best as we could. And I looked over and I seen our next door neighbors. They were standing where their house used to be, and they're an older couple, but they'd lived there, forever. And I sat there and looked at my husband, and I was looking at our home and just how thankful I was, and we were, that, that God protected us and our family. And I thought about, this is going to mean new beginnings for people, and how God could potentially bless everybody and give them something better than what they had. And so me and my husband were talking, and I told him, I said, I got to write a song about this. And so I started writing like that day or the next day. And then we had a blizzard come through. It was completely crazy weather. Like, we had fires, and then we had a blizzard, and we had no electricity. So I was sitting by our fireplace with our fireplace on, and I was writing this new song. And I told him, I was like, I want to capture how all of us felt that day, and all of the loss everyone suffered, but how we can rebuild everything better than it was, and help each other out, and just take this huge act of kindness and blessings, and just turn this whole situation around to a better one.
That definitely says a lot about your character and your soul, that story. Holy cow, that was a lot. And it's a beautiful thing to go from, like, just seeing the ashes coming down, to seeing the snow coming down, and just knowing that, like, I mean, I explain to people all the time, I'm like, just let it burn. They come to me with adversity and I'm like, just let it burn. And they're like, you're nuts, Cynthia. And I'm like, no, even the farmers know every couple of years you have to burn the ground down to revitalize the soil and get fresh fruit. So, like, sometimes you just gotta let it burn. You just gotta let it burn. And man, that it burns beautifully in your music for sure. Holy cow. Like, that song, to think that song came from something so tragic is crazy. But I tell people all the time that, like, because at first when I was mixing comedy and music together in our shows, I was getting a lot of adversity from both groups. They're like, Cynthia, why are we at a comedy show? We feel like the butt end of a joke. And the comedians are like, why are we here? They're here for the music, not us. They're not even like, why are we here? And so, but my thing is that they're both together in there so that we can show visually like the Robin Williams story, like that beautiful things come from broken things. That's the prism of light that you see, the reflection, the rainbow, the promise. That is definitely what that is. So thank you for joining us and sharing your stories with us for sure. How long have you been singing?
I have been singing since I was 8 years old, and I'll be 37 this November. So a long time. I've been professionally singing. So I've been on the road professionally singing for about 2 years, a little over 2 years.
When did you release your first song to radio?
Oh, goodness. I think it was October. This last October is when I released my first EP album, West Texas Gypsy, and that's on all the platforms. As far as radio goes, I'm on 95.7 The Armadillo in Amarillo, Texas, and 98.7 in Oklahoma, and then I know down around Fort Worth. There's one, I can't remember which one it is, but so it's just been in the last 2 months, 3 months that I've released to radio.
Nice. And that release we're going to listen to at the end of the interview, she released a song called You Ain't No Cowgirl. You Ain't No Cowgirl. But we're going to give you a preview of this next song, White Horse. Do you want to tell us about that song before we hear it, Katie?
Yeah. So on White Horse, it was about 2 Christmases ago. I was sitting at my piano. I've got this beautiful German piano from the 1800s, and I love it. I love playing it. But I was sitting at it, and it was a couple days around Christmas or before Christmas, and I was just sitting in my sunroom, and I heard God start speaking to me these lyrics, and so I was just writing them down. And then I felt my dad there. I lost my dad a couple years ago. My dad was a pro cowboy and a very dear man. And so I sat there and I wrote that song for him. And so it just, and at the end of that song, it kind of talks about Jesus coming back in the book of Revelations and just blessing people and having people following him. And it's just, I've had a lot of good feedback from that song. It's actually hit #2 in the United Kingdom on their country music charts, and it's playing in Japan and Russia, here in the United States. So that song's just been a huge blessing. I feel like God was kind of like, here, I'm going to take this song and it's going to be your best song, right? And then it just exploded worldwide, and it was the coolest thing.
That's absolutely awesome. I just tagged a pro cowboy who's also a very well-known songwriter who's had #2 hits nationwide in your interview post. His name's Rob George. I feel like would appreciate this song and story. We're going to go ahead and listen to White Horse.
white horse across the Texas sky, rolling plains and painted canyons far and wide. He's come together. Who believes that in fear, that he rose again and conquered all. So saddle up your horse, take your hat, goodbye. Coming right across the Texas sky, oh, the Texas sky.
You're going to go have to find her on either Texas Brew Radio or KatieBethMihm.com. I actually had the pleasure of switching her site up for her a little bit. That was kind of fun to work on and get to know you as a person and get to see all these new pictures that you did. I want to talk a little bit about, because you were saying that people were asking you, Katie, why did you put blood hands all over your face? And there's a reason behind it. And we want to hear what that picture symbolizes as far as what you're advocating for awareness of.
Okay. So one of our friends is a really well-renowned photographer, Stetson Hunter. He used to be a cameraman for the Survivor show, but we called him up and was like, hey, we need to do new band photos. And I recently had some people that I was acquaintances with I kind of knew their family and stuff, but they suffered a loss in their family, and it had to do with this movement, Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, the MMIW movement. And I realized that if Stetson could take a photo of me, or if anybody could, it'd be Stetson, like one of those National Geographic looking ones. So we asked him to do our band photos in Paladura Canyon. And while we were there, I had this idea. I said, you know what? I'm going to honor everybody who has suffered the loss or has been lost, or, I took it as an opportunity to captivate that moment and honor everybody who has gone through that. Whenever I was 15 years old, I was abducted by two men, and I didn't see my family for about almost 10 days. And thankfully, the state troopers and local sheriff's office found me and returned me back to my family. And obviously, I was very scared and, confused, and you just go through a lot of emotions in something like that happening, and it was extremely traumatizing. So, but that's what the handprint, the red handprint across my face, that's what that is for the missing and murdered Indigenous women and children. And it was just to help bring awareness to that, in all across the United States, and in Canada. Like I'm Ojibwe, so my family's all from Michigan and Canada area, and Native women are the most abducted or human trafficked or killed out of any kind of woman as far as races goes. And so I just wanted to, I guess that picture was a way of me healing and getting,
Closure
healing.
that you're a survivor. It's an awesome story that you can take, something that I've heard not once, not twice, but 3 times already, how you've taken something that could be completely debilitating for anyone else mentally, and you've not only pulled yourself out of it to a higher elevation, but reached around the people around you and helped everybody realize that this is not where we belong. We don't have to be here and sulk in this mess. We can make something better from it. And that's an awesome character to have. I want to play a quick commercial from one of our sponsors, and then we're going to chat about your next song and kind of find out who inspired your writing style. This is
Okay.
Priceco.
Priceco Construction is a full-service home builder in the Wichita Falls area with over 20 years of service locally and government contracted. From start to finish, design work, custom work, repair, renovation, they can do it all. Need a plumber? Electrician? No job they can't get done. Visit pricecoconstruction.com to see about getting your next job on the schedule. And don't forget, you get what you pay for. Get it done right the first time. pricecoconstruction.com.
Katie Beth, it's such an exciting thing to watch an artist's journey unfold. And you've been doing this for a while, but just stepping out of the closet and feeding yourselves to the wolves at this point. I'm excited to watch you grow and see where you go with this. I love how you've kind of put in hidden messages in your music and written, things in an inspirational way with a lot of positivity. Your next song is kind of a little bit different than the two that we've heard. It's your newest release, and it's called "You Ain't No Cowgirl." Tell us that. You want to give us the juice on this song?
Sure. So I wrote "You Ain't No Cowgirl" as kind of a funny, humorous thing. Me and my husband, whenever we go to rodeos and things like that, we always see ladies walking around with big old long eyelashes that are fake and their hair just in these crazy updos, or like they wear mini skirts and high heels. And, anybody who's in the ag industry or rodeo industry knows, we don't really dress like that for things like that and events like that. So, or like just, I think people think that ranching is like this glamorous lifestyle. And so a lot of girls are like, oh, I want to marry a cowboy and do these things. And, my husband, he works out at one of the plants around here and stuff. And so I'm staying home. And so I am basically, we joke about it that I'm the ranch boss. And, like I'm the boss lady around here, because I have to do so much stuff around here.
You're the Beth, Katie Beth.
Yeah. Yes, I am the Beth Dutton to Mihm Ranch. Yes, I am. Anyway, but, it's been a lot of fun, but I've learned so much, and all the hard work that I've, like we just got done with our planting season, and just the livestock and all the things you do every day. Anybody who really is a rancher will tell you it's definitely not a glamorous lifestyle to wake up at like 3 and 4 in the morning to go do stuff, especially if it's snowing or it's 110 here, and you're working outside all day building fence, or, having to train horses, or just whatever it is. But my husband has this thing about fake eyelashes creep him out. And so he wanted me to put that in the song just kind of as a fun, to gouge at people like that. So anyway, so
that's so funny. I spent 20 years professionally as a model, and the eyelashes, I absolutely hated them. Absolutely hated them. So when I would get in the truck, it was one of the first things that would come off. I would literally just rip them bad boys off and stick them in the little door handle until we got where we were going, and then I would pick them out and throw them away. Well, one time I did not remember to grab my eyelashes out of the door handle of the back seat of my driver's pickup truck, and absolutely terrified him. He thought that it was like a massive spider or something that stuck to his hand, and had a mini heart attack over my eyelashes, and even sent me a picture of him on his fingers. He was like, I think you're forgetting something. I almost died.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's funny too is whenever girls wear them where we live up here in the Texas Panhandle, in by Amarillo, whenever girls wear them here, the wind blows so bad. It's funny because they'll walk by you and one of their eyelids will, go up and they can't put it down because the wind is so bad here. So it's kind of funny.
The Texas wind is no joke, man. I lived in Florida for 12 years, and in Florida, if the wind is over 30 miles an hour, they shut down all the bridges because that's called gale force winds. It means there's probably like a tropical storm coming and safety is an issue, but literally everything shuts down. And then I moved, I end up as a COVID transplant here in Texas during COVID. And I'm like, is there a storm coming? And after about a week, I realized it's just a normal thing for it to be so freaking windy here.
That makes it even harder to do what we do. I mean, anybody who ranches around here, when the wind's blowing 80 miles an hour, it makes our day twice as long and twice as hard to do anything. So.
Oh, I definitely hear that. Well, we are going to hear this story about, I don't know if we'll hear it or not, but you're going to get a preview of the song that has Katie talking about those fake eyelashes. This is You Ain't No Cowgirl. She just released it. Is this your first radio release?
No, Kick Rocks was my first one. And then White Horse. And I think that they're playing Jesus and John Wayne in Oklahoma on 98.7, the Red Dirt.
All right. Well, all of these songs, call and request them, but particularly this one, we want to get her on the charts. You Ain't No Cowgirl, Katie Beth Mihm. You can find her at katiebethmihm.com.
Show up at the rodeo, want everyone to know. Your head cheese tie, caterpillar eyes, and where you want to go. Nobody cares for your ugly stares, all the gossip from your mouth. Pucker up them lips and shake them hips and kiss my rough clouds. You ain't no cowgirl if you don't rope a ride. You ain't no cowgirl if you can't two-step all night. You ain't no cowgirl, just a buck bunny in disguise. You ain't no cowgirl when eagles shift their lives. Prince